So we left off about to talk about milk, test some milk. Wait, you say, how will we know what the test results mean? We have nothing to compare them against. Oh, right, he says the control group thing. You don't want me to do Jinkies Day, do you? Oh, Jinkies. So, Jinkies. Well, how about this? He holds up a carton of milk, Jinkies. I'm pretty sure it's not contaminated because I drank most of it a few hours ago. It'll have to do, you say. So if you're listening to this recording and you wonder why I'm saying Jinkies so much, it's because every time I say Jinkies, there is a clue. Okay. So, okay, all right. He says evil milk A, good milk B. Hey, that sounds like a control group and an experimental group, right? Jinkies. First, the thermometer test, thermometer test. He grabs the milk bottle from you and compares the feel of it with the carton, just as I thought. Both of them thoroughly warm, perfect environment for something nasty to grow. Second, the nasograph test. He opens the bottle and takes a sniff. Whew, stinky. Now he opens the carton and sniffs it. Ugh, way stinkier. Hey, are you writing all this down? Jinkies. Yeah, you say. But I think we need to get a little more scientific about this, Zach. You know, the goatee thing. So evil milk is A, good milk is B, Jinkies. The biolab. You and Zach test the lab equipment to compare the disease-causing milk in the bottle. Evil milk A with the normal milk in the carton, good milk B. We go to the optical microscope, which we're familiar with in this class. We can take a close look up at the milk itself, Zach says, and see if there's anything swimming around in there. Let's check it out. You would not want to look at milk under the microscope. You might not drink it. I don't think about it. Like yogurt? Ooh, that's even worse. Yeah, yogurt is, the reason yogurt is like thick, bacterially colonized milk, right? That's what thickens it is the bacteria, right? That's really gross when you think about it. So here we go. Zach carefully draws a drop of milk from the bottle and adds a series of chemicals to it. Gram stain, he explains, sticks to the coats of bacteria so you can see them. He covers the milk with a thin plastic cover slip. Have a look, he says, handing it to you. The microscope is set at its highest magnification. You look through the eyepiece. As you study it for a while, you see organisms in the liquid. They seem to be composed of just one cell, Jinkies. Now here's a drop from good milk B. Zach says, handing you another slide. You spot more single-celled organisms almost immediately. He placed the two slides side by side, and Zach peers through the eyepiece. Do they look the same to you, you ask? Hard to tell, he shrugs. We'll test them both, group MA and group MB. M for microscope. So microscope for A milk, microscope for B milk, Jinkies. Takes them both in the back room. Next, the filtration unit. They use this stuff to sort things out according to size, Zach tells you. There's a centrifuge and filters, and I don't know what else. Zach loads the sample into the filtration machine and turns it on. It's got two filters on it, Zach observes. See the stuff that can't get through the 10-micron filter? Remember, micro is millionth of a millimeter, right? So these are things smaller than that, okay? So smaller than 10 millionths of a meter. It collects in the F100 bottle. The rest goes through and it hits the half-micron filter. Whatever can't get through that ends up in the F5 bottle. The stuff in the milk that's smaller than a half micron ends up here in the F0 bottle. So this is going to filter things out by size. When the sample from evil milk A is done, Zach takes the bottle and labels them F100A, F5A, and F0A. 3 different size filtrations. Then with a sample from good milk B, he repeats the process. F100B, F5B, FOA, or FOB. So he ends up with bottles labeled F100A and F100B, F5A and F5B, F0A and F0B, and you notice there's something in each bottle. I'll put these all in for testing, he says, and disappears into the back room. What? Yep, I would have, well, I'll give you some results, but yeah, you're going to have those as your results in a little bit. So, at the Petri dish, you use this to grow cultures, Zach says enthusiastically. Whatever's alive in the milk will probably grow in the dish. Then you can isolate it and study it.
Interruption. This is a message for everybody. Now that you've received handbooks, you're about to receive handbooks, freshmen only need to sign, everybody needs to sign the handbook, but freshmen need to sign the concussion form as well, along with your parents. Freshmen need to sign a concussion form as well, along with your parents. 10th, 11th, and 12th graders do not need to sign the concussion form. Okay.
You guys didn't get handbooks yet, did you? They're down in the office. They just sent me an email, so I haven't been down there yet. So we'll have them tomorrow. So you culture the milk in the Petri dishes. Zach confidently picks up a Petri dish. Watch, he says. You watch as he sterilizes a nitron loop, dips it into evil milk A, and smears it across the agar in the dish. He then repeats the process with another dish using good milk B. He labels these dishes Petri dish A, PDA, and Petri dish B, PDB. Jinkies. Should be writing these down. Now what, you ask? Now we wait for something to grow. At the atomic absorption flame photometer. I think you need to use this to find out the chemical nature of something, Zach says, stroking his goatee in thought. Yes, that's the Fu Manchu stroke. So you burn it to see what light it gives off. Let's check it out. It takes you and Zach several tries to figure out how to use the instrument, but finally, when you burn a small sample from evil milk A in the machine, you get a black strip with several distinct color bars on it. What does it mean, you ask? Haven't a clue, Zach responds cheerfully. Let's try a sample of good milk B. You and Zach burn a small sample of good milk B in the spectroscope and get another black strip. You and Zach compare the two. They look identical to me, jinkies. Zach says glumly, I guess this experiment was a failure. Maybe not though, huh? Jinkies. Hey, we all done here, Zach asks. If so, I guess we just wait. Wait for what, you ask? Wait for our test results to come in. He shrugs, yawning. They should be obvious in about an hour. We can flip through the library while we wait. Like we need to read more, right? Here we go. So, hey, there's a book that explains the atomic absorption flame photometer, Zach says. It is used for detecting poisons, jinkies. Well, some poisons anyway. Many poisons have metal salts in them, like sodium and sodium cyanide. Metal salt gives off a distinct color when burned, so a substance laced with sodium cyanide would give a stronger readout of sodium than normal. I found out something about microbe size, you say, hefting a big microbiology text. Funguses or fungi or whatever are many-celled creatures that are generally larger than 10 microns, jinkies. Bacteria are one-celled creatures, and they're between a half micron and 10 microns in size, jinkies. And viruses are way smaller than bacteria, and both viruses and chemicals would pass right through a half micron filter, jinkies. I told you already it's not a virus, Zach says pointedly, so don't waste your time reading about them. Petri dishes really excel at growing bacteria and fungi, you say, reading on. Heck, I could have told you that, Zach says, unimpressed. Say, are you writing all this down, jinkies? So we're going to continue with the mystery. What are those tests you keep talking about, you ask? Take a look, Zach says. He follows you into the back room. You see a row of cages labeled MA, mouse A, MB, mouse B. Oh, I'm sorry, microscope A and microscope B, PDA, Petri dish A, and PDB, Petri dish B. So he's infected the mice with the different substances on those. And so on. And each cage is a little white mouse. We're waiting to see which mice start to bleed, Zach goes on. You thought it would take about an hour, right? That's right, a new voice says in the doorway. Bum, bum, bum. A young woman strides into the room. I'm Fran from the hospital. What have you got? Zach says hurriedly, everything's under control. We have procedures underway. Tell Dr. Wydell not to worry. Lydell. Fran focuses on Zach. Her eyes narrow. Don't I know you? Maybe, Zach goes on. We developed several hypotheses, see, and created these unique testing scenarios. You're Zach, aren't you? Fran is implacable. From last semester's modern art class. You're a freshman, right? An art major, right? Not a biologist. Oh, shoot. Right, Zach agrees. So I'm doing this art project. I paint petri dishes with various germs. Oh, brother, Fran sighs and rolls her eyes. Oh, no. We got the hippie helping us in the biology lab. Gotta be, never trust a guy with a goatee, right? Yeah. It's all right, you assure Fran. We're theorizing that the disease is caused by one of four usual suspects, either a virus, a bacteria, a fungus, or a chemical agent. Zach and I have performed a series of tests to characterize the pathogen. What is a pathogen? Something that causes a disease. So really, Fran says, what characteristics are you testing for? Size, you say, pointing to the cages. F100A, F100B, F5A, F5B, F0A, and F0B. A is the so-called evil milk, and B is the normal milk. We burned some samples in the whatchamacallit, adds Zach. Fran frowns. The flame photometer, you explained? We were looking for an unusual chemical agent. Find any, Fran asks. The A and B results were identical, Jinkies, you say. What about these? Fran asks, pointing to MA, MB, and MC cages. The control groups, you say. MA has been inoculated with the disease-causing milk, and so we expect it to get sick. MB was inoculated with the normal milk, so we expect it to stay healthy. And MC got no inoculation at all. Zach cuts in like the control group thingy. Fran shoots Zach a look. You made any cultures? Yeah, Zach says. He takes the petri dishes out of the incubator, looks closely at them. There's stuff growing on them too. Let me see that, Fran snaps and slides the dishes one at a time into the optical reader. You're right, she says, peering into the reader. Man, this stuff grows fast. I see colonies of a yellowish growth in PDA, Jinkies, plus a much larger white growth on PDB. I'm sorry. On PDA, I see yellowish and large whitish growth, and on PDB, I see only the yellowish growth, Jinkies. Now you wait. Okay, Fran says, I can see you've got things underway. When do you expect results? An hour at least, you say. You can tell it's not a virus, Zach says proudly. Viruses only grow on living things, and milk isn't alive. Fran shakes her head sadly. Stick to painting, Zach, she says. Viruses can't grow in milk, but they can exist in it. When they get into your body, then they start to reproduce. Or the virus may be infecting whatever it is that is growing in the milk. You say, don't worry, Fran, I haven't ruled out viruses as a suspect. Fran nods. I'll tell Dr. Lydell and let him know that you have identified the pathogen type in an hour, she says, and storms out. Whew, Zach says when she's gone. Right, cool, hey, this is really science, man. Look, he tells you earnestly, I'll test these dish cultures, right? The yellow stuff will be CYA, and the white stuff will be CWA, and the yellow stuff in PDB will be CYB. It's going to take a while, so why don't you catch some winks? I'll wake you in an hour. Well, okay, you say. What? Yeah. All right. Everybody put your head down, take a nap. He said take a nap. All right, wake up. Beep, 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 beep. The alarm wakes you up. Who, what, where, you think, groggily. And then you remember you're on an assignment for your boss, Dr. Susan Lydell, at the biology lab in Allenbrook College, waiting for some mice to start bleeding from exposure to a mysterious new pathogen. Beep, 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 beep. You look around for Zach, but he's nowhere to be found. You find his wristwatch alarm and turn it off. You've been napping for over an hour. Time to solve this mystery, you think. You go down the row of cages examining each mouse in turn. So, I'm going to go over these. You need to write down what you think you need as you go through. Microscope A mouse is bleeding from the paws. Microscope B mouse is healthy. Microscope C mouse, the one that got nothing, is healthy. The ones that got things in F100A, larger than 100 microns, is healthy. The ones that got F100B, larger than 100 microns, is healthy. F5A, larger than 0.5 microns, is quite bleedy. and F5B is healthy. Bleedy, bloody. I've been reading. Come on now. I'm going to jumble my words up at least once or twice today. Quite bleedy. F0A is healthy, things less than a half micron, and F0B is healthy, things less than a half micron in the other milk. CWA, the white stuff from the evil milk, is bleeding profusely. CYA, from the yellow stuff from the evil milk, was healthy, and CYB was healthy. Okay? Sorry, my ticker's not working. There you go. So by the cages, you find Zach's clipboard. On it, he listed what each mouse was exposed to. I think you guys already have these notes, so I'm just going to pause here for a moment. On another page, Zach has written observations. Both sources of milk have been warmed for many hours. Good milk B is stinkier than evil milk A. And on another page are pasted the two photometer readouts you and Zach made, which look identical. We've already been to the library. Outside, you hear the put, put, put of a motor scooter approaching. Then Fran barrels through the door, pulling a helmet off her head. Time's up, she announces. We need your conclusion. What is the pathogen in the milk? What do you tell Fran? All right. I'm going to stop my recording. Maybe.